forgot. Hey, I'm back. I'm back and I'm black. Oh my gosh, hold on. Okay, this is going to be the week 6 video. And I'm gonna start over because... What? Hi! This week's video I'm going to be discussing weeks 3 through 6. I've been gone for a couple of weeks, but if I'm being completely honest, I've just been tired and like mentally drained and just emotionally drained. There's just a lot of life happening. So it took me a minute to make this video. The last video that I posted was from weeks 1 and 2. And at this point, I am recording week 6. This is just going to be a culmination of all of those things. So let's get into the video. So firstly, for weeks 3 and 4, a couple things that I noticed were, one, it was a lot easier to work out in the boot versus being in a cast. Now, I still have not been to the gym because for me, I feel more comfortable if I was able to move around the gym. I don't necessarily want to scoot around the gym or crutch. I think it'll be very just exhausting, and it can be a little painful if you're doing it for extended periods of time. So personally, I've just been working out at home. I have very little, like a handful of workout equipment, so I just use those things like free weight dumbbells, resistance bands, ankle weights. I have a deadlift bar and a few weights, so I just kind of try to switch it up and do different at-home workouts. I heard a tip from another YouTuber that said biking helped the blood flow in his leg, and because the Achilles doesn't get a lot of blood supply, that's part of why it takes so long to heal. So the rehabilitation process is also slowed down for the same reason. So things like biking and any movement with your legs can help pump blood through the leg and through the Achilles area. Just trying to emulate like biking motions so that I can get blood flow. Also, something else I noticed is that I've been huge on location scouting. I rarely leave the house as is because it just makes things a lot more difficult, but whenever I do, I make sure to location scout. So if someone asks me to go somewhere, if I'm invited to something, or some friends just want to hang out, I always have to ask first for a ride because I'd rather not drive if I don't have to. But parking, how close the parking is from the entrance, if there's disability seating, if there are aisles, if there are stairs, if there's elevators, because then I have to calculate like which walking device to bring. I have the iWalk, which I use inside of the house, and when I'm trying to be hands-free in the house, like for cooking and things like that, going up and down the stairs has been pretty helpful for that too. Then I also have a scooter, which I use for longer, broader distances. And just when I know I'm going to be out for a longer time. And then I just have my traditional crutches that I use also, but those can get a little tricky. After some time, your arms start to hurt. It just gets really exhausting. So I just have to ask because it just takes a lot more brain power to do simple things. And that's another thing that I've noticed that I had to get used to, because it's a lot more challenging than people think. You can't just get up and go like you used to. One thing that bothered me so much around the 3-week mark was my fear of healing long. So if you don't know what healing long means, it just essentially is if your tendon has gone through surgery or non-surgery, and it is stretched in the 90-degree angle or past the 90-degree angle. So like if this is your leg, this is your foot, and let's just say this is the ground, and you're like that, and it goes past 90 degrees too early, it's reaching negative dorsiflexion too soon. And when that happens, the tendon can stretch, and it can heal long in the sense that it loses, or it either loses elasticity or it becomes too elastic, where it stretches too far, and therefore it's harder to regain strength later on down the line. So it has to stay in a pretty stiff and shortened position for a certain amount of time, just to ensure that the two ends of the tendons are touching properly, and that they can heal properly for whatever amount of time your doctor allots. If you do it too early, or if the tendons are connected properly, it can heal long, and then you might feel no pain, or you might feel like you have an extended range of motion and all the things, but then your ability to push off might be eradicated, or or you might not be able to regain the same level of strength, even though it seems like you have the same level of flexibility. Me being an athlete and wanting to return back to the same level of elite athleticism, I don't want to heal long and think I'm fine and then later on realize like, oh, I don't have the same level of strength or flexibility. So that's something that's like, I don't know why around week 3 I just started getting really paranoid about it, and I just wanted to make sure that the surgery was okay, that my that my tendon connected properly. I was just so scared, so I ended up calling my doctor's office and I was like, we need to talk. And they assured me everything was fine, so it was a little bit of relief. And that actually brings me into my next point, which is my week 4 post-op doctor's appointment. So actually before my 4-week post-op doctor's appointment, I bought on Amazon, and I can probably link it in the description below, but I bought an extra set of heel lifts. The heel lifts that they gave me put my foot at a 20-degree angle. Because I was so paranoid at healing long, I wanted my foot to have as much plantar flexion as possible without making my tendon too stiff. But I was like, I would rather have it be too stiff and then just take longer to stretch out, regain flexibility later, versus it being too long and then I can't reverse engineer that. You know what I'm saying? So I bought the extra heel lifts and I just added one, and it was about an extra 10 degrees. So it put me from 20 degrees to 30 degrees. I figured adding an extra heel lift wouldn't hurt, if anything. So for the good stuff. At my doctor's appointment, a few things happened. It was really hard for my foot to stay still. Like, I think my foot was just not used to, it was just so used to being stuck in one position. So when they took my foot out of the boot to examine it, my foot started shaking like a stripper.
And I'm bad like the Barbie.
It was shaking involuntarily too. Like I wasn't even doing anything. It was just like my muscle spasming. It was crazy. Secondly, they took out my additional heel lift. So I was again scared, very nervous that I was going to get in trouble by my doctor, or that I somehow like set back my healing process by adding an extra heel lift. But when I told my doctor when I got there, he was like, oh girl, that's what you were worried about? It's fine. Like everything's fine. The thing that freaked me out is because it was really hard to get in touch with the actual surgeon that did my surgery, because when you don't have insurance and when you're funneled through the public healthcare system, you really just get stuck with whoever's available at the time. So I've been seeing different doctors and different nurse practitioners kind of throughout this whole process. And when you don't have consistency, it kind of makes things a little bit more difficult. It makes it sort of difficult to trust people because you don't know where they got their information from. You don't know what other doctors or surgeons they're colluding with. You don't know where they got their protocol from. Like, you know, it's just a mix and mash of people. You kind of start to feel like a number and you don't feel necessarily catered to. And doctors don't have like great bedside manner when it comes to public health care, because they can really just be like, all right, boom, boom, boom. They just check you off another number on another list. You don't get to stop and ask as many questions. You don't get as much individualized care. So that was definitely a point of contention for me, and still has been, or still is. Then a couple days after my 4-week post-op appointment made my official 1-month post-op day. I was like, it feels good. It did. It felt so good. I was like, like after I would say like a week or two, it just goes so fast. It goes so fast. And then I looked up and I was already at 1 month. So it felt really good. Next, I'll talk about weeks 5 and 6. I swear this injury would just like, certain things would just sneak up out of nowhere and just knock you out. Like one day you'll be fine, and then the next day you're in your bed curled up in fetal position crying about not being able to play basketball or dance or just walk. Oddly specific metaphor, but you know, just an example. I was denied for both unemployment and disability insurance, and I lost my job. So yeah, it's just been really, really hard, like really hard. This injury is already hard, just dealing with the unexpected nature of it all. Going full force at life one day, and then the next day you literally can't move and you can't do anything for yourself, and having to be so dependent and reliant on people. It's just not easy, especially when you're hyper independent like myself. So it's hard anyway, but then to add lack of governmental assistance has been extremely hard. Having to just stress by the day, like how you're gonna eat, how you're gonna pay your bills, how you're gonna just move forward, let alone like walk. Something that did make it better was my 6-week post-op doctor's appointment. So yeah, I was really excited because this appointment was also another good appointment. Very small progress, but still progress nonetheless. So firstly, they removed my last heel lift. Yay! So I went from 10 degrees plantar flexion to 0 degrees or neutral. Granted, that's what I was supposed to be at. My foot was still very tight, and I knew that it would take a little bit to kind of get all the way down. So at that point in time when they took the heel lift out, I was not at neutral. So but the goal was to be at neutral, at least by the next doctor's appointment. And then finally, the biggest news of all, I was cleared to start partial weight bearing. I was like, yay! I'm still in my boot, still not transferred into a shoe yet, but I can start to put my foot down on the floor. I can try to stand very slightly on it, and I can use my crutches to walk with it. So basically, weight bearing with assistance. So at the 6-week mark, I started at 25%, and essentially the protocol is to increase by 25% weight every 2 to 3 days. Week 8, that's when I'm supposed to be starting 100% weight bearing, which means walking on it fully with my boot, without any crutches or assistance. Definitely scared. Definitely, I'm not gonna lie, don't feel like I'm at that point yet, but a lot of it is mental. What I've learned, I'm just scared. I'm just scared to do anything wrong. I'm scared to have any setbacks. I'm scared of re-rupturing. I'm scared of healing long. I'm scared of the incision popping open. Like I said, I see it happen all the time. Maybe I spend too much time on the internet, but I just like knowledge, and I like to have information. So I try to read up on and watch as much as I can. But sometimes all of those things can start to scare you if you read too much. Last thing I wanted to mention was I went on a road trip. It was a very short road trip, but it felt good to not only just be out of my house, but be outside of the city. On the way there, I was in the back seat, so I just stretched my leg out, had my crutches and my scooter with me. It didn't feel uncomfortable to be in the car for we were in the car for maybe 4 hours. The house was pretty big and spacious where we were, so I was able to use my scooter to get around. Super helpful. It came in clutch because I was just able to go long distances. The one thing I do remember is that there was a moment in time where we wanted to take pictures, and I realized that I couldn't participate because the terrain was so bumpy, rocky. There was nothing steady. It was literally the desert. So, and my friends went out to take pictures. I had to kind of sit in the car and just watch them. But it wasn't too bad. I didn't feel as bad for being left out or having to sit out of an activity. And I was able to do most of the things that we did. So it wasn't too limiting. And then on the way back, I actually drove back home. Whereas before, I wasn't even able to sit at a basketball game for 2 hours, let alone to drive home from the desert for 3 or 4. You know what I'm saying? Overall, weeks 3 through 6 have been pretty good, pretty solid. I've had some good doctor's appointments like I explained, making many progress. I'm so happy to be partially weight bearing now. Hopefully the next time I come back I'll be fully weight bearing. Yeah, I'm just excited to see what's next, but thank you all for tuning in again, and of course I will be back with more updates. If y'all have any questions, you can reach out to me, or you can hit me up on TikTok at HeyIsJazz10. I'll leave all the information in the description box below. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Thank you so much for following my journey. Thank you guys. Bye.